Welcome back to A Celtic State of Mind. I'm Paul John Dykes, and today I am delighted to be joined by Sean Conley and Chris McElwain. We're here to talk about 45 minutes of scintillating soccer from Brendan Rodgers, and it's Celtic 5, Ross County 0. I think since we started covering Celtic games live, Sean, we have had one instance where we have absolutely battered Dundee United 9-0.
I was at that game.
Were you there at Tannadice?
I was there. I was there.
And
that was the last game I was at.
Remember, we were singing for 10. Yeah. If I think back to other games in my lifetime, we beat Aberdeen 9-0 at Celtic Park. Mark McGee was the manager of the Dons, and we wanted 10. And I remember beating Arbroath 9-1 back in the early 90s, 93 I think it was. I'm sitting here at 5-0, knock out my chickens, but that first half performance, Sean, you're looking at thinking it could be anything today. It could be any scoreline.
Yeah, literally. And it stopped being a football contest, if it ever was, and it's just become about players trying to, do tricks and get on the score sheet and, add to the goal difference. It was over. Honestly, if anyone would like to argue against expanding league at any point, just point to that game, right? This is the 9th best team or whatever they are at the moment in Scotland, and we're dismantling them like Whitehill welfare coming in the third round of the Scottish Cup in the 90s. You can't tell me there's a team anywhere in the 30 places below them in the pyramid that would have folded and came to play. Even not even if thinking about the folding, but just like the cowardly manner from which they actually set out. 1-0 down, 15 minutes in, and their goalkeeper's time wasting. It's a cowardly action, and we are absolutely smelling blood and dismantling them.
I've got it written here. Celtic smell blood. There you go, Sean. We're on the same page. We're on the same page. We'll talk about the goals and who's contributed to them. But just before we do that, Chris, and start specifically looking at the manner in which we've kind of gone about our business in the first half, it's one of the games it's blown you away. I mean, there was 3 moments where it was goal, 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 because it came so quickly within a 4-minute spell. We have absolutely destroyed this team. And that is with the changes that we're talking about. We're talking Scales, We're talking Ida. Luke McCowan. What a performance in the first half by Luke McCowan. Who wrote him off, guys, when he signed for Celtic? Hands up. Right.
We'll
start off with Scalesy. Liam Scales, everybody knows his story, Chris. He has come on today, opened the scoring with a brilliant header. He's got an assist for a second goal. And somebody comes in here going on about, for Scales, I'm getting excited. For Scales to start great this season, lose his place and come back in and play like that is so impressive. And it is. Yeah. I mean, it just shows you again what Brendan is building here. You're the second choice, but when you come in, there's no surly behaviour. You're not throwing the toys at the pram. You're coming in and you're making an impact.
Yeah, I think they'll recognise that the every member of the squad has got a part to play this season. That's why when I spoke at the in the pre-match, you bring in Scales in for Trusty. There's no fear. There's no drop in quality for me. I think it's I see some people are mentioning it. I mean, I just think Leo Scalacci, he's got this in his back pocket. And listen, he's not only done it domestically, he's done it in Europe this season as well. Liam Scales for me. There he is. There he is. I really want to get that framed and get that up on the wall. But he is a player that, again, like we spoke about Ralston at the pre-match, Scales hasn't let us down. And that goes back to last season, right? I know people have got certain issues about how he plays. He's taken time to get used to the system as well. I mean, one thing I've noticed about him today, and I appreciate Ross County are offering nothing going forward, right? So defensively, it's very hard to judge Scales or Carter Vickers today because we're just on the front foot the whole time. But he's getting his head up, he's picking passes. That assist for McCowan's goal was tremendous. It was an absolute thing of beauty. So, yeah, for me, he's been absolutely brilliant. And as we've said multiple times on this podcast now, if we have to drop Carter Vickers or rotate out, Trusty for Scales, I'm fine with that. I've got no problem with that at all. The guy absolutely deserves his place in the team. He deserves his place in the squad. He deserves his place at the club.
No, without a doubt. And anybody who does doubt it now, they're watching a different game from me, Sean. Scalesy came in completely unfashionable player, a bit like Ralston in the respect that, we've probably written him off. He goes to Aberdeen and he plays in that infamous game against Darvel and everything else, we're probably written him off. Aberdeen are going to buy him. But Brendan Rodgers sees something in that player, and it was a defensive crisis at the time. We understand that. We'd spent big money, something like $7.5 million on Novroski and Lagerbielk. But it's Scales who came through all that. He came through the chaos of that. Brilliant season last campaign, but we still try and get an upgrade. And when he comes in, he performs. And I think players like him, who are almost prepared to be second choice, if there is such a thing, Sean, are vital to the squad game.
I think the mentality around it has to be, and I can't reach into the Celtic changing room and know how they're actually communicating this, but the mentality has to be, I'm one injury away from playing every game the rest of the season. In terms of Ralston, Scales, Forrest, whoever, they're just one injury away from being the first choice, and they need to be ready. Whether they're coming in to take a spell like tonight, whether someone just really has a big drop in form, or whether, as someone does an ACL and then they're in for the rest of the season effectively. But yeah, Scales and McCowan both combined help assisting each other for the first 2 goals. And if my stats are correct, McCowan finishes with 1 goal and 3 assists in that half of football. I had even at 1-0, I had down in my notes that McCowan, 0-0, I had down in my notes that McCowan was running the game. He was sensational.
He's everywhere. Yeah.
I don't want to be negative when we're 5-0 up at half time, but the one negative we've got, and there's so many positives, so please don't jump on me. Baye is not having a good game. And that was in my notes as well. There's one point where McCowan plays a sensational volleyed pass to Baye, who takes a touch through his own legs and gets absolutely lost. And he's done that several times. He's slipping about. He's all over the place. The one chance that Ross County do put over the bars from him playing a short pass to McGregor. Yeah, do I focus on it? That's just the only negative, which is why, because we have been so good, we've got so many positives.
You're right. Rustiness. That's all it is.
I think you're right, though. I mean, it's easy just to ignore it, especially when you're absolutely demolishing the side. But that pass you spoke about was his 3rd stray pass in 30 minutes. But again, we need to give him game time. We need to get him into the groove of it, and hopefully he can get more games under his belt. I'm just looking at the only thing I would say at this moment in time, you're sitting there. There was a similar scenario last season against McCowan's Dundee, wasn't there, where we were 5-0 up. Am I right in saying that? And I think it ended up 6-1. Was it? We were beating them 5-0 at home, and we beat them 6-1. And there was a couple of youngsters on the bench that night, and it was Kelly and Vata. Kelly came on and scored a goal. Came on for Callum McGregor, scored a goal. That's the only thing I'm going to point out. We don't have a couple of youngsters on the bench. It would be good to bring them in and give them a bit of game time. But we're talking Scales, we're talking McCowan. I mean, what an unbelievable first half. 3 assists did you count, Sean? 3 assists and a goal.
I've got in. Yeah.
And the goal that he scores, I mean, you've already said it, Chris, the pass from Scales was sublime. But it's the touch, it's the turn, it's the finish, everything about it. Superb.
It's the movement as well. I had to do a double take at Scales' goal as to who delivered the corner, and I was really surprised to see it was actually McCowan. And I didn't know he had that in his locker. And a couple of times where the free kicks have been lined up, Bernardo's put in some brilliant deliveries as well. But I'm always like, give it to McCowan, see if he can actually, curl one in there. But I think I agree with what you've both said on McCowan. He's been everywhere. I'm actually missing the blonde, the blonde hair, because he's harder to pick out at times. But his movement has one of the things I've said about McCowan since I've been watching him, I like this sort of aggressive style of play. He's very much the box-to-box player. He'll go back, he'll do the ugly stuff, and he'll drive the team forward. And I really like that. And I almost wish he'd come on in the game midweek, because that was one of the elements we were lacking in that team. I think we all pointed to it. We looked fatigued, we looked leggy. You could have brought in McCowan, and if he showed that type of energy, I think we would have been far more comfortable in that game. So, no, whether you're Scales, whether you're Baye, whether you're McCowan, you have to take the opportunities when they're presented. At the moment, the boss has decided to rest a couple of players. He's brought in, these members of the squad, and okay, Baye's sights seem to be a little bit off at the moment in terms of his passing. I would agree. He's got another half, hopefully, to try and rectify that and show what he can do. But when you look at McCowan, you look at Scales, even Jamesy Forrest. I mean, I saw pace for Forrest that I've not seen in about 4 or 5 years. And he was putting in some really good, hitting the byline, putting in some really good deliveries. Maeda's doing Maeda things, right? I mean, he's just running about like he could be doing it for 3 or 4 hours. So the one thing I would say in the second half, what an opportunity to take off a player like McGregor, give him a bit of rest, protect him, and bring on Engels, for example, and get his confidence up. If there's ever a game where you think you could get a player's confidence up, a kind of free hit game almost, or free hit, second half, that would be the one change I would make.
The big thing there, I think, Chris, is we need to learn how to play without McGregor as well, because there has been occasions in the last 3 or 4 seasons where he's been out for lengthy spells through injury. We need to know, and this is a good opportunity to do it, like you say. Another thing, 5 goals, 5 goal scorers, and 4 of them were drafted in today. 4 of them did not start during the week. And the third goal, of course, Bernardo. I thought, again, Bernardo's been all over the pitch, Sean. He's shown his range of passing. He's a very direct player when he gets that ball. There seems to be a change of pace. We saw it in the Scottish Cup final, that he was very direct. He knew exactly what he was going to do. And Maeda gets the assist for Bernardo. McGregor, what's that? He scored 6 goals this season, Callum McGregor.
If I'm not mistaken, he's the top scorer in the league overall.
And, when you're looking at his average goals per season, we were talking about Matt O'Reilly's goals and assists, Sean, and how we were going to make them up. And he stepped up. I think Kuhn stepped up. And yesterday, and I found this interesting as well, but Brendan was talking about the fact he doesn't like having that one talisman getting all the goals. He likes to spread it across the team. There it is in the first half in front of you. 5 goals, 5 goal scorers. That's important as well.
Yeah, and like I think 6 goals in the league puts him, and there was a lot of players joint on 5, so I think that's him on 6 now, and all of them I believe have been outside the box. So yeah, he looks like he's got a better chance of scoring from 30 yards than some strikers in blue have from 6 yards, which is interesting. You're right. It's been great. The midfield have been great. They look energetic. They look like they're hungry. And this is something we often have to come up against when we're playing home games against teams that are lower down the league, that there's maybe not the same hunger, desire, energy, but we looked on it from the start today, and we've looked on it right to the end. And that's when we bring that, or when we add that to our quality, there's nothing Ross County can do. Do you know what I mean? They're sacrificial lambs at this point. They are. And by the way, can I just say, Jungle Lion, at the beginning of the game, 10-0. He said, he predicted 10-0. And as Stephen Broadley says, good shout by Lion. Thank you, Neil Lennon, for supporting the channel. I wasn't keen on Brendan returning, but he's building a great squad, not just the team. This is a special period for us, so enjoy it. Yeah, you're absolutely right. And by the way, I will enjoy it. I don't care if people think that we're getting a bit over the top about a performance against Ross County. That's 5-0. That's half time. This doesn't happen very often. The only thing I would say, Chris, sorry, last season. Yang is coming on.
That's what I was going to say. Yang's coming in. Yeah.
Last season against Dundee, where we absolutely steamrolled them in the first half, we only scored 1 goal in the second half. That can happen, can't it? I mean, and it's not about taking your foot off the gas. It's just that Cowie and the Ross County dressing room will be like, you know what, damage limitation, guys.
I was going to say, yeah, damage limitation. I think there's always going to be a fear. And, as the game goes on, legs do get tired, right? It's only natural. But I think what's been exemplified in the first half is a bit of hunger amongst these players, and they look like they're enjoying the opportunities they're getting and the goals they're scoring. So more in the second half, please, hopefully. I think at least 70, 80 minutes, we could really go on and batter them and real statement win today, which would be great.
I hope so. What about Ida's finish, Sean, just before we go back to the second half?
It was the sort of one you don't try when it's 0-0, right? So, but it was a great one. We'll take it. It was a great touch as well. It wasn't just a finish, it was a great touch in the edge of the area as well to ping that one in.
Yeah. Listen, it's been a brilliant first half, and I'm glad everybody's been enjoying it. Tony wants to change his 6-0 prediction. I think we'll let you, Tony. We're all in a good mood here. Let's get to 10-0. Never seen it in my lifetime. I've seen 3 occasions where we've scored 9. I've never seen a 10-0. I would love to see that. And David Boyle says Celtic scaling the heights today. The backups are hungry for it. It's great to see. McCowan and Scales have been brilliant. Absolutely agree with that. And hail from Dublin. Wherever you're watching the game, enjoy the second half. We'll be back at full time. All that's left for me to say is thank you. once again for Sean and Chris, Double Denim, McElwain, for joining me on A Celtic State of Mind.
Yeah.